Welcome into the Swarmcast here on the ESPN Houston YouTube channel, your new Texans podcast. You can also catch the radio version of this show every Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We'll be with you here on YouTube every Wednesday morning. Joe George, Will Kunkel, talking all things Houston Texans football. As we talk right now, the Texans are in West Virginia.
Yeah.
They've ventured back out that way, and, well, Will, there's a lot to get into on the show. Like, preseason's right here, but, like, the number one discussion right now, I think it has to be the offensive line because it was a disaster last year. You trade away Laramie Tunsil, you invest some draft capital back into it, you bring in a bunch of veterans, but all of a sudden Tytus Howard's back at right tackle.
Yeah, I don't know that he's going to be there, or maybe this is a situation where they're still kind of putting pieces together. I think Ariante Ursary is going to be at the right tackle. Like I predicted that months ago. I think that's what's going to happen. I could be completely wrong. Like I could have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. But I just think like that's the best spot for him. I think Howard is best at guard, but also what's up with Cam Robinson? That's like if Cam is hurt and is going to miss some time, then that kind of shifts everything around. But here's the good news in this, the silver lining is that they have the ability to at least put Tytus Howard at right tackle, albeit not the ideal spot for him with the best offensive line. But it's better than the options that we had if someone went down last year.
Yeah, it's look, the Texans have put together a kind of a makeshift group, and I think it was very obvious for everyone that as you saw Cam Robinson and Laken Tomlinson be added to this team, it's like, well, those are your starters. Like, what's the
and Laken's been a clear starter.
Yeah,
like,
from day one.
Day one, Laken, Jake Andrews, Ariante, Tytus have been your clear four guys that have been out there kind of every day. I think Jake was the one that was surprised that a lot of people the most at center.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would expect Patterson to get that job, but I mean,
at least to start, right?
Yeah, you would think that
initially.
You would think one of the guys that was here with Cole Popovich would have it, but it's now you have this injury with Cam Robinson. They're having to move stuff around. I mean, I think the expectations were low. I've said plenty of times, well, I didn't feel like the offensive line could be worse than last year, even though you traded away Laramie Tunsil, just because of how bad it was. Like, you would think logically they would find some way to improve. You fire your offensive line coach, you bring in all these new pieces. Yeah, maybe CJ's still running for his life, but they would be a little bit better. But so far from what we're seeing, what you're seeing at camp, it doesn't feel like it.
I think it's going to be better when football comes around. It doesn't mean it's going to be good. Like, there's a difference between better than the worst and being good. Like, there's a huge gap between those two different definitions. And I think there might be able to be some smoke and mirrors if Nick Caley's good. Like, there are 4 pieces or 5 pieces to have this offense actually have success. The offensive line has to be good. Nick Caley has to have a good scheme. He's got to know how to call plays. CJ Stroud's got to improve. We got to have weapons on the outside out of Nico Collins, and the running back room's got to get healthy, stay healthy, and make plays. Like, there's a lot that has to happen, but I do think that if the next step of the offensive line not sucking is, can Nick Caley put them in position to have success? Like, quick routes, get the ball out of CJ's hand, not 7-step drops all the time. Like, things like that can allow you to have success without having a good offensive line.
Remember, this episode is brought to you by Blue Star Tequila, the world's first and only night-harvested tequila. You can find it near you. Plenty of bars around the Houston area. You can find it. Just go to bluestartequila.com.
My
type
pantry
in Houston, and you'll find it. Yeah, my pantry has it. My pantry has a few bottles.
We need to change that and get rid of a few bottles.
Well, we've been working through it. My wife is a big fan of espresso martinis, so we've been doing that with some tequila. With the tequila, so that's been kind of our go-to as of late. But all that being said with the offensive line, I think the story so far through training camp is clearly that the offense hasn't been very good. Now, last year, I think I kind of let it go. I was doing the show with Paul Gallant at the time, and Paul would be at practice every day and say the offense is losing constantly to the defense. It's like, well, we know what they were last year. Maybe the Texans will have a top 5 defense. We kind of just let it go. But then the season came and all the problems that we saw in training camp came to fruition in the regular season. And it kind of feels the same way right now. I want to give them a pass because it's camp. It's a new offensive coordinator. It's a new offense. It's a new offensive line. But the concern, how high is it for you about this offense right now with what you've seen at camp?
So it's, for me, it kind of works about what are your expectations based on what you're seeing. So last year the expectations were that the offense was going to be awesome. So we kind of explained it away a little bit coming into camp. This year I have no expectations for the offense. Like, I don't expect them to be good. I expect them to be better, but again, that gap between good and better is huge. So, like, right now, my panic is like, I mean, it's probably like a 4 or 5 because it's still early, but also that panic meter can shift every single day, and that panic meter is gonna get real in the preseason because they're gonna have to put something on tape. They're gonna have to see success. I went through this when I was in Carolina, and I covered the Frank Reich era that lasted like 10 weeks. Yeah. I mean, the dude got fired immediately, and the offense was so bad during the preseason. Now, every press conference we had after the preseason game, it was, "This is preseason. We're not showing anything. We're keeping it simple." Like, okay, like I have to believe you. But then the offense was so bad he didn't even survive 10 weeks in the league. So I have to believe what I see. I can't just say it's going to be good and they're going to flip that switch. That doesn't exist. You don't just flip a switch. The Texans talked about that going into postseason last year, and I asked D'Amico Ryans, like, why do you think you can flip this switch? You can't. Like, you are what you are and you do what you do, so they're going to have to put something on tape that says that they're good in the preseason at some point.
How much do you want them to play in preseason? Because it's changed so much in just both of our times covering the NFL. I mean, I don't even know, Will, honestly, how long you've been doing this, but it's, we used to see players play maybe a quarter in the first game, and then a little bit more in the second game, a lot in the third game, and the fourth game is when they wouldn't play. Now it's very different, obviously, across the league. We're seeing the Cincinnati Bengals have decided that they want to start fast. And we're going to see Joe Burrow and the offense play in the first preseason game this coming weekend, they said. How much do you want to see the starters, CJ, everybody, in the lineup and get preseason action?
This is an answer, non-answer. Like, I need to see them enough. Like, enough.
No, that's a good answer.
Right?
Yeah, that's a good answer.
Like, they have to play enough to figure it out, to have some success that says, hey, we're ready to roll in the regular season. And not even for me, but I know that, like, if we know enough football that we can see when they're ready. They know that too. They need to get to that point to where they play enough. Not like, all right, well, that's 6 plays. That's more than we said. We looked like crap for 6 plays. So, we'll see you next week and we'll do like maybe 10 plays. And once we get to the 10-play mark, we haven't had any success, but, it's the 10-play mark, so we want to stay healthy. And yes, the number one goal is to get healthy, but at some point, you got to be somewhat good and efficient. So you have to play enough to get to that point.
Especially because, look, while the defense right now, based on where things are going, like they're going to be top 5, it also feels like they might catch a huge break here and maybe not face Matt Stafford in week 1. But for the flip side, you've got Jared Verse, who was a monster immediately for the Rams as soon as he got to the NFL. And that's who's going to be out there. The Rams defense is very good. It's very well coached. And it doesn't matter how many coaches they lose or gain. Like, they just put out good football, and the defense is really caught up to the offense. Like, you're tested week 1. Mm-hmm. Like you can't. So I think for me, the offensive, if CJ doesn't play, like, I would be disappointed because to what you're saying, you want to see some level of growth. And, is it just our defense that's neutering this offense daily at practice, or is it part of a larger problem? You can only learn that in preseason games. And I don't think the one day with the Carolina Panthers that they have coming up and the other one, day inter-squad day they have, versus I can't remember which team it is, but like you're not going to solve. Yes, well, that's a good one to have. You're going to learn a lot.
You're going to learn a lot,
but it's only one day in those.
Yeah, exactly. And so if the offense looks really good, then okay, I'm good with that because it is more structured. You get to see what you want to see. You get to work on what you want to work on, and maybe you don't have to take the extra 15 snaps in the preseason game, but you have to do enough. But with that, the first month of the NFL season, every offense looks like crap through like the first 2-3 weeks.
For sure.
Season, at least. And so there is still going to be more ramp up, and that's what's so good about the Texans is that they can win some games against some offenses that are also going through that because of their great defense. Mm-hmm. So they can be carried while the offense tries to catch up. But at the same time, man, like, you are what you are offensively at some point, and the scheme's going to be what it's going to be, and the offensive line's going to be what it's going to be. So they're going to lean on the defense a lot. Again, offense, just suck less.
Yeah, I think for the fan perspective, it's, I think fans have this high expectations for the Texans offense this year because you fired Bobby Slowick. You've changed your offensive line. You brought in this young, seems like wizard in Nick Caley that things are just going to be magically fixed. You've added Christian Kirk. You've added 2 rookie wide receivers out of Iowa State. Like, you've added a lot. You have Cade Stover. So I think Texans fans are expecting the offense to look much better from day one, but so far through training camp, it's just not been the case. So is like week 4 or 5 when the offense hasn't been good, like really when you're a 10 out of 10 panic?
I'm panic mode week 1 if they can't avoid 3 and outs consistently. I'm not telling you to score the rock. I'm not telling you to score touchdowns. I'm not telling you to go deep. I'm not telling you to look flashy and be fun. Just move the ball 40% of your drives to where you can punt it and put the defense in a good position to defend the rest of the field, a long field. Just do that, and then let's work up to scoring and field goals and touchdowns. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
baby steps.
Yeah, just
one step at a time.
Look competent. Don't look dominating. Don't look awesome. You're not going to hit your stride. I'm not expecting that. And no offense is really going to look like that consistently early on. Just get the ball past midfield.
Yeah.
And then we'll go from there.
Yeah, and make sure guys are in their formation. You want to make sure CJ Stroud is not having delay of game penalties. Now he's going to have more control over the offense, the offensive line. Like the formatics of what's happening, I think early in the season we'll learn a lot. And I think we'll also be a good tell of what the Texans could eventually do on offense. Because if you don't have the basics down in week 1 and you're struggling to get the ball snapped at a reasonable time and in a good rhythm, then that's the stuff you have to knock out first before you can even think about the offense like really growing this season. So, look, there's a lot to work on, and I think the one part of this team this year that hurts is that while the offensive line struggled last year to run block for Joe Mixon, he made a lot of chicken salad out of you-know-what and was fantastic last year. I mean, it was a home run trade for Nick Caserio, but now Joe Mixon's out. And it's not really clear how long he's going to be out. It feels like this could linger into the season. We know Nick Chubb has been not great. I know the day we're recording this on Tuesday, he had a 30-yard run at practice, so that's a positive. I think it's by far his best run at practice.
Yeah, I think he's looked better than some people have said. I don't think he's looked as good as I think we all want and hope.
Yeah, he's not Nick Chubb.
Yeah, and again, Nick's been doing this for a long time. I don't know what he's putting in training camp. Let's give Nick not necessarily the benefit of the doubt, but I want to see Nick in a game because Nick's a dude that's going to lean on you, punish you, hurt you, and he's not an explosive, quick, jukey guy that in training camp you're going to be like, oh, damn. Yeah. He's not running anybody over in 7-on-7s, or there's no 7-on-7 running backs, but in training camp in general, you're not running over your own guys. So we don't see the best of Nick.
Yeah, and I think, so you have Nick Chubb, you have Dameon Pierce, who's activated off the PUP list, still not fully practicing, but he's out there with the team, so he'll be returning at some point. You have Woody Marks, who you drafted this year in the 4th round. Like, you have pieces to help fix the Joe Mixon equation, and then it'll be even better in theory once Joe Mixon also returns at some point this season, whenever that is. So do you have high expectations, low expectations, somewhere in the middle for the running back room in 2025?
I think a lot's going to be put on their shoulders. I think Woody Marks is going to get a ton of carries. I think a lot is going to be put on Woody, especially out of the backfield receiver. Nick Chubb, as good as Nick Chubb is at doing what he does not catch the ball. He catches like 8 passes a year.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't do much out of the backfield receiving, and that's going to be important for this offense because of the offensive line can't hold blocks. They got to get the ball out of CJ's hands. So a lot's going to be put on their plate, maybe unfairly so, just to be able to kind of save CJ a move and survive until Joe gets back. But I think Nick will be an okay running back downhill. I think. I don't say it with a whole lot of confidence because he's coming off such a crazy injury. He does look explosive in his Instagram videos for whatever that is worth.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's better than no Instagram video of explosion, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I think Woody Marks is going to be the guy that, watch.
Well, look, we see every year in the NFL, we see a 4th-round running back who is clearly slept on in the draft have a great year. These guys, and we see guys later in the draft come in and make immediate impacts. You think about, Isaiah Pacheco and what he's done for the Kansas City Chiefs, the later-round draft pick, that they come in. Yeah, they're not, Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, or what Ashton Genty is supposed to be for the Raiders, but you do see these running backs, because of the way the draft process works out, they fall, but they make immediate impacts. And if Woody Marks could come in and be that guy to be a safety blanket for CJ Stroud this year on top of your tight ends and Nico Collins, it should impact this offense in a very positive way.
Yeah. I'm less inclined to, no disrespect to those guys.
Yeah.
Yes, they're good players. They've turned into good players, no doubt. But look at the schemes. The Lions scheme, all the 49ers running backs when Christian McCaffrey was out, the Kyle Shanahan scheme, and then the Chiefs. So like 3 really good offensive schemes, good play callers, very good quarterbacks, a lot of weapons around them.
Yeah.
So I just wonder if you put those guys in the Texans offense.
Would it be the same?
Are they those guys? I don't know. So that's, again, Nick Caley's got to come in and be able to create space, put these guys in position to where we can have a Woody Marks be like, oh, damn, we may have found something here.
Yeah, and so the running back room, I think is, I would put it the number 2 of all like what needs to go right for the Texans to go above what they've done the last 2 years. Like, to me, Will, like the expectation is that at minimum do what you did the last 2 years. Win the division, win a playoff game. But it's CJ Stroud's 3rd year. You'd like to see the Texans take a bigger step to do that. So to get there, number 1, the offensive line has to be better. Number 2, the running back room has to resolve itself and be a positive contributor to the offense. Those to me are the top 2 clear priorities. I don't even know what number 3 is, honestly, at this point. Tight end room?
Because I think it's such a big question mark.
Yeah.
Like, there is no guy right now. I think it's going to become Cade Stover. And we all have talked about Nick Caley and his love for the tight end. So if you have a tight end that has no desire to be physical in Dalton Schultz, and he had issues catching the ball late in the last couple seasons, is Cade Stover able to be that guy, or is Brevin Jordan able to be that guy? I've said before, I think the guy that gets the most snaps as tight end is the one that's willing to be the most physical in the run game. Then the pass catching, and that will follow, and you'll be on the field for those plays. But I think, because what you don't want is, all right, run, put this guy in, pass, put this guy in. You obviously don't want that. So one of those guys has to step up, and based on what the coaches have said, I think it's going to end up being Cade Stover, although reports on Monday were pretty good of Dalton out in West Virginia.
Yeah, I mean, if Dalton can be closer to what he was his first year with the Texans versus last year, that's huge. But then, I mean, even, again, we talk about the offensive line. If you can run 2 tight end sets, and one of them can be a valuable blocker in Stover, but also have the ability to catch the ball. Because we know Dalton's doesn't seem keen on blocking. It's probably the nicest way.
He's not a big physical tight end.
Yeah, it's probably the nicest way to put it.
Not a downhill player.
Yeah. Look, it's funny, after we did the show, we filled in for Paul Gallant like a week or 2 ago, and after we did the show, I had a way too early. I was annoyed I was even doing a fantasy football draft. And in my last pick, I took Cade Stover.
Why not, dude?
I was like, you know what? I was like, I like what I'm hearing. Like, I'm gonna take a flyer on him.
If it hits,
last player on the board, like backup tight end. Don't need him to play a lot, but like if it hits, it's a good move.
The ball's got to go somewhere. I have no problem with it, especially as a red zone target. You have no idea how this offense is gonna work itself out. We know Nico's going to get his. We also know Nico's gonna miss 5 games. Is it going to be Joel Null? Is it going to be Jaden Higgins? Is it going to be one of those tight ends? Someone's going to get the ball. Who is it? And why not Cade? Like, the coaches love him. He's a workhorse. He's willing to do the work. It's a matter of can he.
What have you seen from the wide receiver room? I know it seems very positive from afar. I haven't been to camp yet this year about Christian Kirk and what that relationship seems to be positive so far with him and CJ. What's your overall view on the wide receiver room, all the new guys that they've added so far?
I've liked what I've seen from Christian Kirk from a route. The way his routes develop, they're quick intermediate routes. Like Stephon Diggs was more deeper, longer developing type routes, which you couldn't run with this offensive line. This is truly get the ball to Christian like that. But we also know Christian's going to miss 5-6 weeks. Yeah. He hasn't stayed healthy in 2 to 3 years in the league either. Jaden Higgins, the way he runs his routes. I had Cecil Shorts on my show, Kicking It with Kunkel. He said, the way a 6'4" body like that can run and drop his hips and twist and turn and, get out of his breaks. It was the first thing I noticed in minicamp. So when he started talking about it, I was like, oh, my gosh, even I notice it. And if I notice it, then everyone can see, how rare that is. His routes look a lot like Jalen Knoll, who is obviously a much smaller player. So I'm excited for those guys. Everyone's excited because everything's an upside right now. Everyone's just excited because they're rookies. Don't expect them to get 1,000 yards. Don't expect them to go off and get 7, 8, 9 touchdowns. It's hard to do. And that doesn't mean they won't. Just don't expect that. That's why I say the tight end room, someone's got to be a legit veteran as they are versus these rookies and expecting them to have to go off.
Yeah, the only thing with the rookies, though, and I think the reason why a lot of people have high expectations for Higgins specifically is because where I think Nick Caserio has clearly missed the mark a little bit in the offensive line room.
Back.
Blake Fisher hasn't, well, we didn't even mention Blake Fisher. We'll circle back to him. But Blake Fisher, Patterson, Scruggs, haven't been great players. But Nick Caserio has had big-time success with Nico Collins, with Tank Dell, even Xavier Hutchinson. give him a pass on Mechie. That's not his fault. Like with everything that happened with Mechie, the injury, the cancer, like it's the disappointing career. It's an unfortunate career. But Nick Caserio has checked the box with drafting rookie wide receiver. So I think that's why Higgins has such high expectations. It's because Nick Caserio has shown, like, if he values you as a wide receiver in the draft, he's been he's been on the money every single time.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, I think that's why people are excited about Higgins.
Like you can see it when you watch him run routes. You can see the big body, which I've seen a Terrace Marshall go through camp with the Panthers, big body, and then he ended up being a complete bust. But when you pair that with Nick Caserio and you pair that with his ability to make that pick, you give it the benefit of the doubt. You say, all right, let's roll. Like, I trust this until I don't.
So let's circle back to Blake Fisher. So when Cam Robinson got hurt the first day of camp on the first play, and Tytus Howard moved to right tackle, we ignored the fact that it wasn't Blake Fisher. That is not a positive sign for someone you invested good draft capital into. That, like, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Obviously, like, he wasn't Joe Alt. But him and Alt were a really good left tackle, right tackle pairing at Notre Dame. Now, to see Blake Fisher seem to already kind of fall out of that top spot to be the right tackle if there was an injury is definitely concerning, I think, in terms of your draft capital investment in this player.
And this is the other end of the spectrum of Nick.
Yeah.
We don't trust him or his staff, whoever, it's funny. We say Nick, and he gets all the credit. It's the scouting report, just the scouting department that feeds him and D'Amico like all of this content. And yes, Nick obviously does a lot of work. It's not to take anything away from it, but like this is the other end of the spectrum is that they have not been able to figure out how to draft offensive linemen and who the good ones are. And so, like, it's hard to say that's it for Blake. Like, if Blake's not in the rotation as a second rounder now in camp, when a guy goes down, then when is he?
No, because then it even feels like you might go, if there's an injury in the season, that might even be like hey, let's go take a flyer on a veteran.
Yeah, you're obviously trying to avoid Blake.
Yeah,
clearly.
Because, it was shocking, honestly, to see Tytus Howard back at right tackle. It's like he's been a guard all of camp, and immediately there's an injury. He's moved back out to tackle, and I'm sure that they don't want to do that. They want to have continuity in the offensive line, and Tytus at right guard was the plan, and having to pivot away from that already is really concerning. Like, Blake Fisher, probably more than any player on the offensive line, needs to have the best preseason. Like, he needs to go out there and put some real good tape out there for the Texans coaching staff to have confidence in him going forward.
It seems like that ship has sailed.
I know. Which is crazy.
Listen, man, when you play sports your whole life, when the coaches think something about you one way or the other in a strong way. Like, when you're getting the benefit of the doubt and like, we're good. And then when it's like, damn, like, still can't get a chance. I still can't get reps. It's like Chaz McCormick with the Astros. Still can't get an opportunity. Yeah. Like, all these dudes come up and they still won't give me a chance. Like, when you know.
Yeah, and that's just where it feels like a year in, we're already at with Blake Fisher. And you're not seeing that with Patterson and Scruggs. They're getting their reps, their opportunities. Seems like unless, Scruggs is going to be your right guard, it seems like, if Tytus has to play right tackle. It feels like where this is headed, but it's tough for Blake Fisher. That's a tough evaluation for the scouting department and Nick Caserio. And again, their offensive line evaluation has been poor, and there will be a lot of criticism of the Tunsil trade from the fans if it goes the way it feels like it's going right now, even though, again, I still think it was the right move at the end of the day.
Here's how you need to look at the Laramie trade in 2 years. 2 to 3 years. That's when, because this is not the offensive. They weren't like, let's get rid of Laramie, and now we've got our offensive line that we've always wanted. Yeah. This is not that. They're a year away from that. This year's offensive line draft was not very good. We saw that with the guys taken. Next year is a lot better, and that's when they can go out and hunt, make some moves, and really kind of start to solidify the offensive line. But now you're up against CJ Stroud getting an extension. You're up against Will Anderson's new contract. Like, there's a lot of money that's going to have to be paid out. That's why this window with CJ on his rookie deal is so critical for this offense to figure it out now.
Earlier I said my expectation is to, at a minimum, win the division, win a playoff game again. Are you in line with that?
Minimum.
Do you think it should be higher minimum expectations, or just because of the state of the offense, that's what we should be saying is the minimum goal this year?
That's the minimum goal. For me, that's the minimum goal to start. I think that they can get higher. I thought last year at some point I was like that's it. They're going to win the playoffs. They're going to get in the playoffs because of the division, and I think that is the minimum this year.
Yeah.
not to cop out, but it's a little bit about a matchup. Like, who are they playing? The Chargers were a great matchup because that offense struggled so mightily. You were at home. The crowd was absolutely juiced. Like, good luck playing an NRG against that defense in the playoffs. Like, good luck. Then they went on the road and they fought their ass off. They played. The refs had a bad game.
They did.
But the Chiefs also don't make mistakes in situations. They were a better team. It was what it was. It was a tough one to swallow. But we all know that if the Texans won that game, they weren't necessarily better than the Chiefs. In the next round, it was like, oh boy, like now it gets real.
Yeah.
I think they can evolve to a point to where they can win it. They can get to the AFC title game if the offense clicks. Right now, just win the division and let's see what happens.
Holding that in until you stop.
Lord Jesus. God bless.
Oh, I love the editing that I can remove that. All right. Well, you know what? We'll take our break there. All right. We will take a break here so you can hear from our friends at Blue Star Tequila so they can teach you what night harvesting is all about.
In the highlands of Jalisco, as the fierce heat of day fades into dusk, the sun dips below the horizon, and our jimadores begin their work. Harvesting our precious agave azul beneath the glow of stars, while the night air is cool and calm. Away from the harsh heat of the sun, we protect our agave's freshness, locking in essential natural properties and sweetness, and preserving its unique flavor profile. This world-first practice has been warmly embraced by our jimadores, who relish the soothing embrace of evening's cool air as they work beneath the moonlight. 100% agave azul, night harvested, unfiltered, and additive-free. We invite you to taste the Blue Star difference.
All right, well, we've talked about all the bad stuff, the offense. Let's talk about the good stuff. Let's talk about the good stuff. The defense has been awesome in camp. And while the offense has struggled, I don't think that it should take away with how good this defense is going to be in 2025. I mean, we just talked about expectations for the team. We talked about expectations for the defense. Top 3 defense, top 5 defense in the NFL. Like, that's how high they can go, if not even be number 1. They've got the talent there at every level virtually to be the best defense in the NFL in 2025. I can't wait to see what it looks like this year because D'Amico, it feels like to me, while he has a system in place, he also is adapting really well with the talent that he's been added. Starting with Will Anderson. I mean, for me, that looks like a guy that Defensive Player of the Year written all over him. Maybe not this year, but at some point in his career.
That dog can hunt.
Yeah.
Like him and Daniil Hunter, and the way that D'Amico schemes and the way the interior is going to get pushed, like, yes, Will Anderson could have a career year. And I don't know that he's going to have 15, 20 sacks, but here's what I want to see from Will this year. When he gets that close, I want to be able to see him finish. And then when he gets there, I want to see the strip sack. I want to see the TJ Watt, Myles Garrett steps. Mm-hmm. I want the playmaking, game-wrecking plays to come from Will Anderson. Not just the sacks, not just the pressure, but get the ball. Get the quarterback to the ground instead of just getting that close away and keep applying that pressure. Pressure, great. Could lead to interception, for sure. But give me the game-wrecking plays a little bit more often.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it because he's obviously, it's probably what held him back last year. I remember looking at the odds when the sack numbers were there. Like, it's like he could be in contention for Defensive Player of the Year, but it's the real game-changing stuff that's just not, you're right, it's just not there.
Mm-hmm. He's a step off too many times. And that's not to say he's not good.
No.
Not even close. There's just tiers. TJ Watt, Myles Garrett. And then wherever you want to put Will Anderson, he's in the next tier below them. Those guys, go back and watch highlights and look at their stats. The forced fumbles, the strip sacks, the scoops and scores. Those guys do it all. They do it consistently. I mean, shoot, the Steelers win games just without an offense.
I know.
And, like, we might have to have the Texans do that from time to time, so Will might have to get a couple of tutties here and there.
Yeah, I mean, that's why this offense, like, to kind of full circle it here before we focus more on the rest of the defense, is, like, has such some grace because of how good the defense is. Like, they have a chance to. And look, you don't want them to be the, Trent Dilfer, Ray Lewis and Ed Reed Ravens, where, like, it's that abysmal on one side of the ball. But, like, all you need is minimal scoring from the Texans offense, and you should win a lot of games this year. And it doesn't matter if you're playing the Ravens or you're playing the Bills. It's like, as long as you can not go 3-and-out a ton, this defense is going to help you win games, because all you have on this team is guys in the secondary who take the ball away. And if Will Anderson can add to that, Danielle Hunter can add to that, they can just be even better. It's funny, too, how in training camp, the way that people are describing it is almost like it's two teams.
Oh,
like
you
have
is.
this like
It's
elite
so
level
true.
team and then like a mid team.
You have the defense. You're like, oh, hell yeah, Texans are good. And the offense, like, ooh, I wonder what we're going to see from the Texans this year.
Yeah.
But to your point earlier, how good this defense can be is up to the offense. And it's based on how short of a field or how long of a field are they consistently having to defend. If the offense can score, or if the offense can at least get to past midfield and punt the ball and pin the ball, then the defense can be like top 2, maybe top 1 in the NFL. If not, they're going to be at worst in the top 10. Like at worst in the top 10, probably like a 5-6 at worst. But man, I'm telling you, this defense can be the best in the NFL if the offense allows them to be.
Well, I think back to what the Eagles have been doing, and it's like if you can get the offensive production that, or close to what Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown and Saquon were giving, and you watch an Eagles game and you watch how that defensive line with all the different guys are just pinning their ears back because they know, the offense knows they have to throw the ball to get back into these games or to keep up with the Eagles. And same thing with the Chiefs in past years with guys like Chris Jones. Like, if you can provide a lead late in games and force a quarterback to throw the ball, imagine what Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter are going to do to these guys. They're going to wreck people because they're going to be forced to throw the ball constantly. So, yeah, they could be the best defense in the NFL if the offense just gives them enough.
They're going to be good no matter what.
Yes.
But this is we talk about it all the time. The coaches talk about it all the time. It's boring, but it's so true. There's 3 phases to the game, and you have to play complementary football. Like, you have to, in order to take that next step, in order to be the best defense, you have to have a good offense. You have to. It's just the way the game works. So if that happens, this defense could be the best in the NFL. But without an offense, this defense and them dropping down to 5 has nothing to do with them and their talent. It has everything to do with the offense and them not allowing them to play the schemes that they want. Like you just mentioned, like really good point. If there's a lead and D'Amico can play and defend with a lead, like that fourth quarter is going to be crazy to watch. Like that's when you get your stat padding. That's when Will Anderson gets his scoop and score. That's when you see Derek Stingley saying, oh, hey, I'll break on this ball. I'm okay with that. We're up by 21 in the fourth. Like I'm good. I'll go get mine. I missed it. Okay, fine, so be it. But you got to play so conservatively, and you got to defend the run, and you got to defend the pass, and the screens, and the quick drop off, like all of it. If you're tight, forget. Like that's not when you have wild success.
We'll get to the secondary, the other really bright spot of it. I guess the question mark would be the linebacker room a little bit. You know, Christian Harris still hasn't really. I don't know
who.
Yeah, is he going to be an impact player for this team?
Is he going to be all player?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to play? I do not know. Apparently he was on the sideline on Monday running up and down. I mean, okay, like, is that where we are with this? He was there. He took his first steps type of deal.
Yeah,
like,
it's so disappointing because 2 years ago.
And I feel for him because obviously he's not healthy.
Yeah, but 2 years ago, I was like, this guy's awesome.
He was awesome.
He was electric.
The jump that he took from week 1 to the end of the week in the playoffs was like, damn.
Yeah.
This dude turned into a stud mid-season.
Yeah, if you could get like that Christian Harris with Aziz
and Henry,
everything else.
Henry was so much better than a lot of people thought he was going to be, myself included, going into last year. He was awesome. And with his physicality and Aziz, like, they can play sideline to sideline. They can plug gaps. They can play physical with that defensive line. And then the guys behind them.
Yeah, but I guess I would say, to me, I guess that's the weak point. Even though like Henry To'oTo'o was good last year, Aziz is obviously a very talented player. Hopefully he plays the whole season and doesn't get suspended this season. But like it's the weak spot. I think the air quotes was very well done by you. Because it's not like a massive weak spot.
It's just compared to like the best unit and the other best unit.
Yeah, and then you have the secondary where you have Kamari Lassiter, who was a home run draft pick. You have Petrie out there, who's been awesome, and of course you have one of the top 3 or 4 corners in the NFL, if not the first corner in the NFL.
I mean, I don't know if he's not number 1, like Surtain.
I think it's him and Surtain are really close.
And I'm not. it's one of those things like, all right, you don't want Stingley, you're going to put him back in the bag and redraft. Like, not a chance in hell. I'm taking Sting every single time.
Yeah. So
if he's healthy, oh my God, dude, he's such a stud.
And the thing is, and what's great about Lassiter is that we saw last year, offenses couldn't, they would avoid Stingley quite a bit, but they still had to throw to him because it's funny, I remember doing the draft show the night they drafted Lassiter here on the station, and it's like, you're already calling yourself the locksmith? Like don't you got to earn that in the NFL? But because his numbers at Georgia weren't good because he was so dominant. It didn't translate.
And that's what's going to
happen. We're not film watchers.
Yeah.
We're not Lance Zierlein out here watching every college football game. But it translated right away to the NFL. He won the job before camp even started last year.
It was from day one. It was oh, damn.
And it was that was shocking last year.
Him and Bullock were like, oh, so these dudes are here to play.
It is the one spot, though, I think that of where the defensive line, obviously losing Will Anderson and stuff like that would be tragic, but there's a good amount of depth there. I think there's some depth in the linebacker room, even though it's not great. That's the one spot in the defense where I look at the corners and I'm like, ugh, you can't really, you got to avoid injury this year. Because I don't even know who, really that third guy would be this season.
They need to avoid it because the drop-off is big. Here's where I say, you can't afford to lose Nico for a long time because he is your playmaker and you can't replace it. And God knows what we're going to get with Nick in the offensive line. If we lose Sting, God forbid, knock on whatever this is, that doesn't terrify me because DeMeco Ryans goes to Green Bay without 5 starters, draws up a scheme, figures it out, and dominates.
Yeah.
You can cover that up. It's different, but DeMeco has the ability to do it, and you have 10 other guys that are studs.
Yeah, but I think when you look at the Pro Football Focus grades that by the end of the season last year and then what we're seeing this year, my guess is we're going to see the Texans rated as the number 1 cornerback, room in the NFL, assuming Lassiter and Stingley are both healthy. And then you got the safeties where, you've got some real young talent. You've got Petrie, who they're using obviously a little bit over. The only real question is, do you have any expectations to see Jimmy Ward? I know there's some legal stuff that still has to be worked out, but I don't factor him into when I think about the Texans this year.
So I do. I mean, if he's legally allowed to play,
I
love him on the team because Jalen's not a great one-on-one man defender. This allows you to have Jimmy do what Jimmy does really, really well, have Kalen do what he does, have CJ Gardner do what he does, and then have who did I say? Jalen. I have all 4 safeties basically.
Yeah.
Do what they do well, and have none of them be out of any sort of position, and it just gives DeMeco Ryans Jalen Petrie mostly as his queen piece, and all right, because he's like a linebacker. The way he plays and his physicality, the way he can stop the run and make plays when he's close to the line is impressive, and it allows DeMeco to kind of put him where he wants versus. If you don't have Jimmy, it's like, all right, I got to have you here. I need you to do this. We're going to try to help you in these situations, and we're going to try to avoid putting you in this spot because that's not what we want you doing. But with Jimmy, it's like, all right, hey, you just worry about that. Don't even think about it. It just gives him an extra piece.
What have you seen from CJ Gardner-Johnson at camp?
Mouthy.
So far? Yeah.
He's fun, man. I'll tell you what, he's never, ever going to lose a press conference.
No, he's not.
And that's my favorite part. But obviously a good player. Everyone has said great things about him as well. Not that they would badmouth him at the podium, but you see him talking to guys all the time. You see him getting involved all the time. He fit in from day one. He just made himself welcome. Everyone else made him feel welcome. And he's in there teaching dudes. He's talking. He's chatting. It seems like he's been here forever.
And it's funny, the one guy we haven't even mentioned yet one time as we're talking about the defense is honestly the player I'm probably the most excited about this year in terms of being able to force turnovers. I can't wait to see what Kalen Bullock does this year.
He's a ball hawk.
I cannot wait to see. You think about
he's got to hold on to the ball, though.
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Just see ball, get ball, hold ball.
For sure. But the defensive line that we're talking about, the weapons you have at corner, he is going to be able to do things in that deep end of the secondary where he's going to be able to break on balls. I just feel like he could really have a huge breakout year for the Texans. He's probably guys who haven't broken out yet, he's got to be number 1 on the list, probably on both sides of the ball, honestly.
He's got the ability to make those flash plays.
Yeah.
And that's not to say he doesn't make all the other plays, but he makes flash plays. And he's good at having his deep third, staying disciplined, putting his eyes where they're supposed to be. Whereas we saw Jalen Petrie get benched against the Browns a couple years ago. Like, Jalen got beat a couple times. That's why I say Jalen can be moved to where they want, assuming the other safeties are healthy and ready to roll. And Kalen Bullock is that ball hawk. He's the guy that is he's more athletic than all the other safeties. He looks like a wide receiver when he tracks that ball. He looks like Derek Stingley when he tracks the ball, and Stingley is an unbelievable ball tracker.
Last thing here before we wrap up today's show. I know at training camp you're not always super close to the action.
Close as we can get.
But from where you've been able to see the press conference interactions, I'm curious what your overall impressions are, though, of Nick Caley first, and then Cole Popovich, the new offensive line coach.
So that wasn't there the day they talked to Cole. Nick, so I asked him some tough questions because I said the offense had a bad day. Again, when I was there, I just kind of left it open-ended. I said, why is this bad? Like, what happened? Why do you chalk this up to being a bad day? If it was a bad day, or you tell me. And he said it was a bad day, and it was kind of everything. The offensive line, I got to get the ball, I got to get the calls in better, I got to do this has to happen. So, okay, that's bad, that everything was bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, it wasn't some of the explain-aways of, it's football is football, Bobby Slowick stuff. And, I try not to judge too much on a press conference, but I try to listen and learn from what the coaches are saying. Because if you listen, D'Amico doesn't say much, but if you listen over time, you can piece some things together in what he's saying. For instance, he never mentioned Laramie one single time ever when he talked about the Texans way and the Texans culture. I mean, ever. So when he got traded, it was like, oh, duh. But Nick took ownership. He knows that it didn't look good. He admitted it didn't look good and things need to be fixed. Now let's see how long we have to have the same conversation. That's the biggest thing. With Bobby, we had the same conversation week after week after week. There was one time I asked CJ and Bobby separately. I said, what is the definition of this offense? Like Texan style football. What the hell does that mean? And CJ said, I don't know. And Bobby was like, you know it when you see it. Like, what the hell does that mean?
That's not a real answer.
No. We'll see how long we got to play this game of dude, what's up?
Yeah, it's going to be, Nick Caley he's got a lot of pressure on him this season. Because go ahead.
So yes and no. Or so no expectations, no, or the offense has to be somewhat good, yes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and also I think there's gotta be I think there's some personal too, because part of it is how hyped up he was going into this process. You think to the way that, the Dan Orlovskis and all these people and that are really connected to what's going on in the NFL and how they were just glowing about him when the Texans made the hire. And it's man, when I hear this, it's coming from McVay, if he fixes the Texans in year one, he's not going to be here next year. He's going to be a head coach in the NFL as early as next season. If the Texans offense explodes, if he fixes all the Bobby Slowick problems,
he'll certainly have interviews.
Yeah, he'll have the chance to at least interview for a lot of jobs.
You always wonder, D'Amico his advice to Bobby and to everyone is make sure you take the right job. Just don't take the job because you want to become a head coach no matter where. There might be situations, a job's open for a reason.
Yeah.
There might be situations where Nick's I'm good in Houston.
Yeah, we saw Ben Johnson do that, obviously.
Exactly.
He went through a whole cycle and didn't take a job, and then
several times, right? A couple years.
I guess 2 years, yeah. Because the first year he only interviewed for one job, and I think he bowed out early. And then the main year before he took the Bears job, he backed out of every job he interviewed. Because I don't know what he was waiting for. We'll see how it goes for him. But
I think I like the way the Bears are set up. It's a historic franchise, unbelievable city. I'm not saying they're going to be good. Chill.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't know that I believe in Caleb Williams.
I think that's fair. I think that's plenty fair.
Nails aside.
How much pressure is on CJ this year? Because I do think from a fan perspective, people hear $60 million and then they see what's happening with the offense and they're just I don't know if I see it. Now that's what the market is, and that's what CJ's going to get. But
he's going to get paid.
Yeah, I do feel like now that Bobby Slowick is gone, some of the frustrations will have to point towards CJ a little bit from fans and maybe both the media.
It depends how, is Nick Caley inept? Then CJ's going to get a pass, and is the offensive line inept? I think the fans are smart enough to know that if those two are at least average, then CJ has to be good. Mm-hmm. CJ has to make other people around him better. He's got to take that next step. He can't just be good himself. He's got to make everyone else better around him. But also, I think we're all smart enough to realize he has to be allowed to make other people better. He has to have the opportunity to do so, and that starts with the offensive line and Nick Caley.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is the breakout year for most superstar quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Is year 3 is the year that no matter what's going on around you, you see that explosion of talent. And if he doesn't do it, it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but if he doesn't break out in a big way,
means they're gonna have to start over at at OC again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or like the offensive line again. I'm telling you, 2 years away or 1 year, however you look at it. Yeah, but you're right, man. Like,
the thing with
serious conversations are going to be had.
Yeah, especially the OC thing. Like, if it doesn't work with Nick Caley, he's going to probably get, let's say he'll get 2 years on the job, even though, we've seen the Texans organization specifically be very aggressive of when it's not working with the coach moving on. But it kind of, in my opinion, has to work. Because how many head coaches get 3 offensive coordinators?
That's the other thing. It's like, when does this a reflection on D'Amico?
Yeah,
but he's also an elite defensive coordinator.
100%.
And now he's becoming the CEO and made the decisions. Now, can he hire?
That's the ultimate question.
So I don't know who hired Nick. Nick Caley. We can have that. Debate.
It feels like Caserio,
right?
Because he's a John Carroll guy. He was in New England with them. He has no ties to D'Amico Ryans.
Whoever hired him, the other guy gets to hire the next guy at the very least. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, I feel like that's what they just did. I think it was all right, D'Amico, you hired Bobby. It sucked. I'm hiring the offensive coordinator.
I
think he's going to work well. Yeah, you get the next one. We're going to just we're going back and forth, and maybe eventually they'll collaborate on a decision. But
the problem is you can't get rid of D'Amico because he is a good head coach.
Yeah.
And he's a great defensive coordinator.
And I don't think anyone would, and we're not saying that they should or anything like that, but it's just you don't typically see head coaches hire 3 offensive coordinators and survive. So it's you would just think that if this is really going to reach the heights in which the Texans want it to go, that Nick Caley has to be a home run, and it would be a great thing for the Houston Texans for Nick Caley to be a head coach of another team this year, because that means this year was awesome.
That's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
Or the best case scenario is that
turns out
only crap jobs are available, and Nick stays because everything else is worse than being the OC.
All right, he is Will Kunkel. You can catch us every single Wednesday here on the ESPN Houston YouTube channel, and of course, the radio version of Swarmcast at 7 o'clock on Wednesdays. But before we go, Will, tell the people where they can find you.
Find me on X, Instagram, TikTok. Just type in Kunkel. There's not many of us. And then also Kicking It with Kunkel, my own YouTube channel as well. Blast. We have a lot of conversations.
You have to find me because there's a lot of Joe Georges. So it's Joe George Radio on all social media platforms. So thank you for watching. Reminder, this episode and every episode is brought to you by Blue Star Tequila, the world's first and only night harvested tequila. You can find it at plenty of Houston bars and places just to buy alcohol near you. Just go to bluestartequila.com. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks for watching this first episode of the Swarmcast. Peace.